NSF has funded some of the students for the Student Travel Awards, and all the thanks go to Professor Ashok Srinivasan. He's the program manager at NSF. So we always include a short segment on these just to educate students to seeing what kind of opportunities are there, how the field is evolving. So with this, Ashok, let me introduce yourself. Let me introduce about you. He's a program director in the Office of Advanced Cyber Infrastructure at the NSF, and is involved in the cyber training, CSSI, and OEC core programs. So some of you might be aware of that. Professor Srinivasan has a permanent position as a professor of computer science and the William Nishul Eminent Scholar Chair at the University of West Florida, and is a Fulbright Fellow. His research interests focus on the applications of HPC to science and public health policy, results of his research to protect public health, especially during air travel, have been highlighted over 300 news outlets around the world and cited in the testimony to the US Congress. So in fact, during the COVID days, early COVID days, Professor Srinivasan did a lot of work, how the things spread and all those things. So with that background, Ashok, please, are we sharing the slides here, or you will share the slides? Yeah.
Thanks for the introduction, DK. Can you all see the slides?
Yes, yes. We can see.
Okay.
Might we change to presentation mode? Yeah.
Okay, can you see the presentation mode?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the introduction. So I'm Ashok from the Office of Advanced Cyber Infrastructure. So what is cyber infrastructure? Basically, it is any software, data repositories, services like cloud computing and so on, that is used for research purposes. You know, all that, those are considered advanced cyber infrastructure, and anyone who does any kind of computation probably uses some advanced cyber infrastructure. Okay, so given what a cyber infrastructure is, what are the targets for the learning and workforce development communities? We have three broad categories of stakeholders. One is users of cyber infrastructure. For example, this could be a scientist in some application domain who's using some software, right? Those are the users. You also have people who create such software, right? So those are the CI contributors. And then you have CI professionals, because you have a lot of people who support the research, for example, the research computing office and so on, right? So those are the CI professionals, and all three are stakeholders in our learning and workforce development programs. Okay. So I will talk about the cyber training program, which is one of the most important learning and workforce development program that we run. So I have underlined training because when people write proposals, sometimes they forget this training part. Okay, so the most important thing in cyber training is you have to provide training, right? So once you have decided you're going to provide training, the question is, what are you going to provide training on? Okay, so the training should relate to the use of advanced cyber infrastructure for research purposes. Both are highlighted in bold because it has to have a CI aspect to it, that you're not producing CI. Rather, you're providing training on the use of CI for research purposes, right? So what you do is training about what? It is about CI for research purposes. Okay, so that is what the cyber training program is about. You may do it under, you may have two objectives. One is to broaden adoption of CI tools in the research communities. Sometimes people offer workshops and so on. You may also want to integrate such education into the curriculum, the undergraduate or graduate curriculum. So those are two broad goals that you may have. And one thing we are very interested in increasingly is to broaden access by a variety of means. You know, so broaden could be based on demographic characteristics, but it could be based on institutions, scientific communities, and so on. So there's a wide variety of ways in which you can broaden access. And this is particularly relevant to some of you who have restrictions on what type of broader impact you could deliver. You know, that it could be by geographic region, right? It could be by a variety of different factors that you actually broaden access. Okay, and these are the stakeholders that I already mentioned. We have three categories. The pilot is exploratory project for 2 years for 300K. It is typically maybe you're institution or some collaborating institutions. Usually it's at a smaller scale, and you hope to eventually write an implementation proposal. The implementation proposals could be small or medium. They could be up to 4 years and varying from $500 to $1 million. The important thing over here is that here, you will not limit yourself to one particular institution. You would be producing something where it is broad and developing a community of developers and users who actually deliver the training. Okay, so this is a brief summary of our cyber training program, and you can look at it further in our solicitation page that I have given at the bottom. So the deadline will be coming up, early next year. We'll also have a webinar for it, perhaps in November or December. Okay, so this is one of our important programs in learning and workforce development. I thought I'll briefly distinguish the different programs, because sometimes we get in proposals that are not ideally matched to the type of program that that we have. So if you are doing cyber training, then your goal is to provide training. Okay, that's your ultimate goal. But sometimes you may have other stuff you do, right? For example, you may incidentally create some cyber infrastructure, which is incidental to it. That is not the main focus. Okay, so the ideal thing is main focus on training. And what gap will you fill? You will increase the research workforce that can leverage cyber infrastructure, okay, for research purposes. Okay, and then we have earlier, we had last time when I talked, we had a program called Cybertraining, had a track called CI Professional Track. Instead, that has branched off and become a little broader into a program called Skype, which are fairly large grants. And this is one thing you do, you'll support research that uses CI, and you'll also foster the careers of CI professionals. Okay, so that is what it'll focus on. And then we have Cyber Infrastructure Development Program, that is CSSI. Okay, so that will actually develop software or data repositories. Okay, and we have a OAC Core program, which is a research program. That is, it produces research that will enable future CI. Okay, so in the CSSI program, the science is already well developed, so there's no risk in developing in the software itself. Okay, in the OAC Core, the science itself is not developed fully, so there is some risk involved in the science aspect. Okay, so these are basically what these programs do. They're very distinct. This is a software. This is a development program. This is a research program. Cyber training is a training program, and Skype is about providing services and fostering the CI professional careers. Okay. So these are some relevant programs. I just wanted to help you distinguish the primary goals of the different programs. And we have a few other LWD, learning and workforce development related funding opportunities. For example, you have the career program for early career faculty. You have research initiation awards, that is from the SAIS directorate. There is something called an intern opportunity for funding. That is, let's say a graduate student is going to work in a non-academic setting, but related to some research. And there's already a research project, supporting that research. Then you can actually ask for supplements, just only if it's the OAC. OAC and a few other divisions. But in this computer science directorate, only OAC so far participates in it. There are in other directorates, they have some other divisions. Okay, so this is an intern DSL. We also have, you can ask for eager if you have some really ambitious and exploratory stuff. If you want to organize workshops, then you can ask for some funding up to 50K. You have research coordination networks. If you want to create a network for a research community. There are also travel grants, like some of you probably got these travel grants to attend the MUG workshop, right? So you have a few opportunities like that. And of course, like a lot of our cyber training awardees themselves run summer training programs and so on. So if you're interested in seeing are there some training opportunities, let's say you're a student, right? If you're interested in some training opportunity, you can do a NSF award search for cyber training programs and then see if there's some program of interest to you, and then check whether they have some workshops, summer workshops and all that available. Because typically these are community-wide, they're not restricted to any university. So you can typically apply for those and see if you could be selected to participate in it. Okay, so I didn't want to keep you too much delayed from your lunch, so that ends my presentation, and I don't know if I have time for questions, but if I do, then I'll be happy to answer it, or you could always email me too. Okay, thanks.
Let's give a big thanks to Ashok. Are there any questions from anybody online? Ashok, I have a quick question. That intern DCL you showed, so who applies for that? Is the student or the advisor or the company where they will be working on?
The advisor typically will contact the program director, and the program director will give further information. The advisor typically applies for that. And this is a supplement, so it is for someone who already has a project that is funded. If it's from SICE, it has to be the Office of Advanced Cyber Infrastructure only. If it's other directories, then a few other divisions are participating in it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you then. Thank you, Ashok. I know you have a very busy schedule today. Thanks for your time speaking to us.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. So we'll switch then to the next talk, which we did a little bit of switching. We'll be having